It's not often that we get to test a fjord in home waters. Most of these craft head off to the sun-drenched shores of the Mediterranean, so it was a bit of a coup to get hull number 1 of the 41XL to the UK dealer on the River Hamble in Southampton. This all-new model boasts fresh styling, including an attractive new window line and a bewildering array of deck and interior layout options. At its heart, it does what Fjord does best, allowing you to cruise out to the local bay in style, drop the anchor, and enjoy what is one of the most fabulous main decks in this sector. But with twin diesels and stern drives fitted, there is more to the 41XL than simply playing the role of floating patio. Prices start from just shy of €474,000 including VAT, but our test boat cost €787,000. Before we get into the nitty gritty of what the 41XL is like on board, let's see how it drives.
This boat is available with 3 different engines. You can have twin 320 horsepower, twin 380 horsepower, or what this boat's got, twin 440 horsepower. But interestingly, on this model, you can have it with IPS or stern drives. Fjord favour IPS on the larger boats anyway, however, this boat has got stern drives as an option, and this one is fitted with them. And I'm quite happy about that because it just makes for a more engaging driving experience. Yes, IPS, you have beautifully light steering and very easy to manoeuvre. You used to lose a bit of the tenacity in the turns, so for me that's why I prefer stern drives, and they do suit the boat very well. Now this boat, top speed, we got about 38-39 knots today. The factory said they've got some work to do on the exhaust, and they reckon it's easily a 40 knot plus boat once they've made those amendments, but it certainly feels quick enough and really settles into a comfortable cruise at around 26-27 knots. We're doing 20 now, feels a little bit pedestrian, but up towards 30 it's very, very happy to cruise indeed. Now of course the reason a lot of people choose IPS is because of the joystick. Obviously with the stern drives that's also an option, and on the DPI drives which you've got here, which has got a hydraulic clutch, it's much smoother in and out of gear than on say the DPH version. So it's an option you genuinely want to select, I think, but you probably want a bow thruster as well, which this particular boat doesn't have fitted. And the reward is just fantastic steering. It's not quite as engaging to drive as the likes of the windy 37 Shamal, but it still has a lovely reaction to the wheel. And for such an open boat, it is an amazingly dry ride, and that's something I've always experienced with fjords. They're very open, but they do look after you. They're not going to hammer through the chop like, say, a windy. They're a lot beamier and you have to be a bit more careful, but they go through solidly enough. And as I say, you do get a nice amount of protection considering just how open they are, especially with this massive hardtop structure that we've got on this particular boat. The other thing about fjords is, though they look like party boats, they're actually very practical, and that starts here at the helm. I've got a fantastic driving position. I like the fact that you're in the middle of the boat. You can stand and lean really comfortably, really nice high backs on these seats, so when you just sit, you're nice and close to the helm and everything falls to hand really easily. You've got a nice footrest down here as well, so if you're sitting you've got some support for your feet, and everything is really clearly presented between the twin Simrad screens here. And there's plenty of places to put odds and ends. You have slots here, you have some on the navigator side as well, you have a handhold on both sides. The only little fly in the ointment is the fact that you have to lift up this Perspex flap to see these screens here, the Volvo engine information screens, but you could easily move those and just have that as another piece of storage. In terms of cruising speed, we're talking about 20 knots consumption there. It's under 100 litres an hour, but now we're at 28, 29 knots and we're doing 130 litres an hour, and this feels like a really nice sweet spot for the boat. You're making good ground, but the engines aren't working too hard, and you've got a good amount of protection for this windscreen as well, so you can travel at this speed nice and comfortably.
So the Fjord 41XL, starting here at the transom, enormous hydraulic bathing platform. It is an option. Fixed one is standard. There's a fixed short version, there's a fixed longer version, but this hydraulic one will be popular no doubt, and it's got some nice additions like some shallow storage here where you can put wet water sports equipment or ropes.
And then you have the built-in steps here, so as the platform goes down, this creates a nice run of steps down into the water. As we step up onto the main part of the cockpit here, it's worth noting how many different setups you can have here in this cockpit. There is an enormous choice, almost too many to run through. This is a nice setup though, because what I really like is the fact that you have a mix of fixed seating and sunbathing space, so you don't have to be converting tables, dropping tables, putting in cushions to make the sun pad. The sun pad is always there and the table is always there, and these twin tables, nicely finished in teak, they flip over, both of them do that, so then you get a nice handhold for when the boat's moving along, and you get some cup holders as well. And you'll notice that these backrests here swing the other way, so that if you want to sunbathe you can put them both that way and you can stretch out facing out over the bathing platform. And what's nice about here is that because these seats do this as well, you can flip these the other way, and then you can have 4 more people sitting facing forward when the boat's moving along, and they still get the benefit of the protection from the windscreen. They're a little bit closer to the helm, so when the boat's in transit, that's going to be a really nice place to sit for passengers. There's also storage underneath these units, so these pull back like this, and then you just open up these and you have some access to some storage under here. And there's good deck storage under here as well. These tops just lift up on gas rams, and you have access to not only storage but a couple of hatches that let you right down into the engine room. So there's access there. There's also access to the engine room through this hatch here in the cockpit, so you can lift up that and drop down into the engine room from there. Now moving on, we have the wet bar here. Again, there's lots of additions that you can make to this area. This one's got the sink and a bit of worktop, but you can have a barbecue grill on that side. You can have fridges in both, storage. It's really modular, and it's completely down to each customer what they want. You can have U-shaped sofas here. You can have the deck completely open if you're going to use it as a chase boat. The options really are pretty endless, but again, this feels like quite a good combination of seating, the wet bars, and then you have dedicated sunbathing space. And you also have the option of this sunshade here, which comes out from the back of the hardtop. And what a hardtop it is as well. Fjord reckon that this is the biggest T-top fitted to any boat, and it's hard to argue really. It is absolutely enormous, really substantial part of the structure, and you get really great protection from it. The boat is obviously very open, but you do feel nice and sheltered by having this really big structure overhead. And as you move forward, you realise what a practical boat this is as well. There's some nice touches here, like the fact you've got the bespoke fenders which slot in those places there, so you don't have to worry about storing them in deck lockers. You've got really nice, good, thick handholds all the way along to help you along the side decks here, which again are very easy to move around. You have a little step up, but apart from that, it's a very safe boat to walk around on. There's also underlighting under here. There's strip lighting set underneath these, so at night that'll look really nice. You have pop-up cleats, and then you have these steps as well. You know, this boat popular as a chase boat or a tender, so then people can use those to step from the quayside or the mothership down onto the decks. To move forward again, nice and deep. There's no rails here, but the bulwarks are nice and tall, so you feel pretty secure moving up here. These slots here are for poles, which then connect a piece of canopy to the top of the T-top, so you can have some shade over this sunbathing area if you want. As we move forward, obviously we have the anchor locker. It's a shame it's not partitioned off, so you can separate the chain from, say, ropes or fenders, but at least you have very easy access to the windlass and the roller. As we move back down the port side, you notice you have a repeater up here for the JL Audio Hi-Fi. Means that you can control the music from up here rather than having to go back to the one in the cockpit. It's quite a useful addition. Here you can have 4 helm seats across here, which blocks off this passageway. I actually really like this layout. We have the 3 forward-facing seats, but you still have this companionway here, so it's very easy to move around the boat. You don't have to always squeeze around the seats to get into the helm or down the companionway steps. I just think that layout works really well. And then you have the helm station here, typical Fjord. You're sat in the middle, everything's really clearly presented. Fantastic seats, very comfortable and supportive, and also because they're nice and upright, can get you really good and close to the helm, which I really like. You can see the overall layout here is nice and clear, it's practical as well. You've got your Volvo Penta controls down there, and then actually this boat has got the optional quick stabiliser fitted, 12 volt stabiliser. You can spool that up from here and see by this dial when it's up to full speed. Now Fjord has worked really hard to make the accommodation a bit more spacious, more comfortable and brighter. It has a new window line, this boat. You can spot it from the outside really clearly compared to older Fjord models. But you also have these windows in here, so there is more natural light down in this cabin. It feels more spacious, and in fact headroom is very good. Now I'm 6'1" and plenty of room here around the bed. In the middle of the saloon, the gold sport interior probably won't be to everybody's taste, but like on main deck, you can change pretty much everything in here to suit your own taste. Whatever layout you go for, you have a double bed, but you can have this partitioned off by a door if you prefer. There's storage on both sides as well. Here you can have a little desk that you can work from. You can have a day heads, another heads to supplement the bathroom, which seems a bit like overkill to me. I actually think this layout is probably the best because you've got an extra fridge on a boat like this. Cooling space is going to be very important, so that seems quite a sensible addition. These are quite nice as well. Little leather pulls, but they connect to proper locking catches. Quite a nice touch. And as we move amidships, this is where you feel the benefit of that window line. Now you can see you have to duck down to get into this cabin, no great surprise given the size and style of the boat. But actually once you're in, it opens up quite nicely, and it's a really good sized bed, nice and wide. Okay, the person on the inside is going to have to climb over the person on the outside if they need to get out in the night, but you can see here where that window line is beginning to help get some natural light in here. And you have it both sides, obviously. Really is more comfortable than you might imagine. Okay, you do have to sit and crawl around once you're down here, and you can also have this cabin with a partition if you want even more privacy. But for a family, actually, this is a really good setup, and you'd happily spend a night or two down here. Certainly comfortable enough. You also have artificial light as well down here. You've got reading lights, you've got some spotlights in the ceiling, bit of storage both sides. You know, it's more than just a token gesture down here. It's a proper little sleeping space that you'd be pretty happy to use, I would say. And we come back out, and of course there's the bathroom here. And headroom's very good in there. It's well lit. More natural light coming in from a pair of windows here. And you see in the shower you have a proper rain head with inbuilt lighting, which is quite a nice touch. Yeah, good space that. Again, gold detailing, not going to be for everybody, but very much optional. And when you lift the engine hatch, that is how you get down. Access with this ladder down into the engine room itself. Now it's not the easiest place to squeeze down into, but you can remove the ladder, so at least you get a bit more space between the engines. This flooring is pretty hard on the feet as well, so you're going to want to wear shoes when you're down here. Here's the gyro. Very easy access to that. Engine space is okay, it's a little bit cramped over the top, but you can get around them okay. You can see the stern drives out the back here. This boat, you can have it on IPS 2. See, this one's actually on jack shafts. They try to bring the weight a little bit forward by having the engines mounted further forward in the boat to help distribute the weight more evenly.
The 41XL is Fjord at its best, and if you're after a boat of this style, it really should be towards the top of your shortlist. Thank you very much for watching our review of the Fjord 41XL. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you're alerted every time we upload a new video.